Nice introduction, and I always find Bhaskar, Roy, and Zishan as a triumvirate who is doing such a wonderful job. It's not easy conducting this seminar in such a very nicely paced monthly manner and not missing any sessions. Thank you for giving me the opportunity again to moderate today's session. Today we are going to see various aspects of prostate cancer, and as Bhaskar said, we got wonderful speakers, and hereby I invite Professor Madan, who is one of the main committee member for our UK NICE guidelines, is going to explain to us what is new in the prostate cancer guidelines. Welcome, Professor Madan.
Thanks very much. So I'll share the screen. So can you all see my screen now? Okay, so first of all, thank you very much to the iTrue team, as well as to Anand and Bhavan for organizing this lovely program. And my talk today is on what's new in prostate cancer, what's new in prostate cancer guidelines. So we'll be focusing on the NICE guidelines published in 2019, of which I was a committee member, and also the latest EAU guidelines. Both of these guidelines cover the diagnosis and management of prostate cancer in secondary care. They don't talk about the primary care. And so we have to first, let's have a look at some of the common words used in these guidelines. So when there's a recommendation based on a strong evidence, the guidelines use the terms like ensure, monitor, offer. But when the kind of evidence is a bit weak, the guidelines will use the term consider, be aware of, discuss. But we always avoid using terms like must or must not. And these were some of the major publications which influenced last NICE guidelines, and we'll talk about them when I'm presenting the guidelines. So let's start with the beginning. So talking about the assessment and diagnosis. So the EAU guidelines have recommended that we should perform MT-MRI before prostate biopsy. And if the MRI is positive, i.e. if the PIRATE score is more than or equal to 3, we should do a combined targeted and systematic biopsies. So remember, none of the guidelines recommend purely targeted biopsies. They all talk about targeted and systematic biopsies. And when the MRI is negative, i.e. if the PIRATE score is less than or equal to 2 and if the risk is low, then the biopsy may be omitted. So the NICE recommendation is quite similar to the EAU recommendation. NICE does mention that if the patient is not suitable for radical treatment, in that scenario, we should not do MT-MRI. The second difference in NICE is that NICE uses the 5-point Likert scale instead of PIRATE scoring system for the prostate cancer. But this is more or less similar. So for all practical purposes, they are no different. What about the biopsy technique? So EAU guidelines have now recommended using transperineal prostate biopsy as a preferred approach. This is due to the reduced risk of infectious complications, and this information came from a recent meta-analysis of around 7 RCTs. But if a patient has to go for a transrectal biopsy, then they recommend using rectal cleansing and povidone iodine. This is because, again, there's evidence through meta-analysis showing benefit of reduced infectious complications. NICE does not talk about any specific technique. I suppose when the NICE guidelines was being written, last one, at that time, there was no specific evidence either way. But NICE did mention, do not offer mapping transperineal template biopsy. So this is the mapping biopsy where you take nearly 50 to 100 biopsy course, because this is not necessarily beneficial for the patient, and it just creates unnecessary burden for the pathologist unless it's part of the clinical trial. Okay, what if the MRI or biopsy is negative? NICE recommends that if there's a discordance between the MRI findings and the biopsy, then this should be discussed in the MDT, and if necessary, a repeat biopsy should be performed. On the other hand, if MRI score is 1 or 2, or if the biopsy is negative, in that scenario, we should repeat the PSA at 3 to 6 months' time. And if there's still a strong suspicion that there may be a prostate cancer, then we should repeat the biopsy, otherwise discharge the patient back to primary care. At the moment, none of the guidelines talk about using other metabolic markers like PCA3 or prostate health index, etc. Okay, so after diagnosis of prostate cancer, the guidelines recommend risk stratification using a 3-tier stratification system, which is essentially adopted from the MICO risk classification. We all agree that in this one, the intermediate risk category is not fit for purpose. So they should ideally be split into favorable and an unfavorable category. Hopefully, in the recent NICE update, this will be addressed. The guidelines do recommend that patients who have high-risk localized or locally advanced prostate cancer, they should be staged to exclude any distant metastasis. And the current recommendation is to use CT scan and a bone scan. So even though PSMA PET is more accurate for staging than CT and bone scan, but till date, we don't have any outcome data which can inform subsequent management, and hence it's not recommended. So now let's come to the treatment aspects. So for management purposes, active surveillance is well accepted for the low-risk localized prostate cancer. But recent guidances have also recommended use of active surveillance for the favorable intermediate risk category, which means where there's an ISUP grade group 2 disease, 3+4 disease, as long as this is a low volume disease. And in addition, the guidelines also recommend that before putting patient on active surveillance program, if the patient has not had a previous MP-MRI, an MP-MRI should be performed first. And if the results of the biopsy are not matching with MP-MRI, a repeat biopsy should be performed. As regards the follow-up protocol for active surveillance is concerned, EU says 6 monthly PSA and annual DRE. And if there's any change, then they recommend using MRI plus minus biopsy. At the moment, there's no consensus about using per protocol MRI and biopsy. We all know that when initially active surveillance came about, everybody was doing repeat biopsy every 2 to 3 years. But more recently, lots of units have started moving towards the use of MRI for the follow-up of active surveillance patients. So coming on to the NICE guidelines, again, NICE says the same thing, 6 monthly PSA and 12 monthly DRE, and use MRI plus minus biopsy if needed. But the additional thing which NICE recommends is use of MP-MRI at 12 to 18 months time point. The previous version of NICE had said a biopsy at this time point, but now they have changed to using MP-MRI. I suppose the logic for that is that these days, now that we do a pre-biopsy MRI first, followed by a targeted plus systematic biopsy, therefore chances of a biopsy upgrade at 12 months is less likely. Coming to the surgical management, there is no change in the guidelines, and no particular surgical approach is given any recommendation. But the EAU does mention that if lymph node dissection is deemed necessary, we should perform an extended pelvic lymph node template. It has not been shown to be beneficial for survival, but it does improve the staging of these patients. NICE has gone one step further for surgery. They have mentioned that robotic system should only be placed where there are at least 150 cases being done per year. What about adjuvant radiotherapy after radical prostatectomy, where the patient has got high-risk features like grade group 4 to 5 or a T3 disease or positive margins? NICE has never recommended adjuvant radiotherapy in the past unless as a part of the clinical trial. I suppose maybe because there was a trial going on called Radicals RT trial at that time. Now, with the results of Radicals RT trial, which interim results have come out, and they do support that there is no advantage in giving adjuvant radiotherapy as compared to early salvage radiotherapy. But EAU still continues to recommend adjuvant radiotherapy, but in a stricter setting where at least there are 2 out of 3 high-risk features present, which means between ISUP grade group 4 to 5 or T3 disease or positive margins, if at least 2 features are present, EAU recommends giving adjuvant radiotherapy. The logic for EAU for this recommendation is that the current results for Radicals RT trial, they have not talked about the overall survival and metastasis-free survival, and they are waiting for the long-term results. What about if the patient has a persistent PSA after radical prostatectomy? So EAU recommends using a PSMA PET scan in that scenario if the PSA is more than 0.2 nanograms per mil. And if there is no distant disease, then EAU recommends using salvage radiotherapy with additional hormones therapy. Coming on to radiotherapy, with the lots of recent trials showing benefit of hypofractionated radiotherapy, which is 60 gray in 20 fractions, including a CHIP trial from UK. So both NICE as well as EAU have recommended using hypofractionated radiotherapy as a preferred option over conventional radiotherapy. In addition, some of the trials have shown slight benefit of combining brachytherapy with external beam radiotherapy. Therefore, a softer recommendation is given for their combined use in intermediate and high-risk localized prostate cancer patients. Biodegradable spacer insertion to reduce rectal toxicity has been shown to be beneficial recently, and the NICE has recommended its use. But EAU has not recommended this. They say that its role in the context of moderate or extreme hypofractionation is as yet unclear. What about alternative treatment options like HIFU or cryotherapy or focal therapy? At the moment, none of the guidelines recommend the routine use. These are only recommended as part of the clinical trials. Coming on to the metastatic prostate cancer, recently, lots of trials have shown benefit of using upfront chemotherapy or upfront use of new hormonal therapies like abiraterone, apalutamide, or enzalutamide in the metastatic setting where the patient is starting on hormone therapy. Therefore, EAU has said do not offer ADT monotherapy, and the patients who are starting on ADT, unless there's a contraindication, we should combine that either with a chemotherapy for docetaxel, 6 doses, or using one of the newer hormonal therapies like abiraterone or apalutamide or enzalutamide. NICE is concurrent with EAU on the docetaxel side, so that NICE does say offer docetaxel to people with newly diagnosed metastatic prostate cancer who are starting on hormone therapy and who do not have significant comorbidities. This is because the STAMPEDE, CHARTED, and GETIC trial, they showed improved survival, overall cancer-specific as well as progression-free survival. But when you talk about the newer hormonal therapies, NICE is a bit reluctant. NICE has approved enzalutamide, but NICE has not recommended abiraterone, and they have not yet considered apalutamide. The use of upfront docetaxel has also been tried in the locally high-risk localized or locally advanced prostate cancer in the STAMPEDE as well as CHARTED trial, but the benefit over here was much more modest. It does slow the clinical progression, but there was no benefit in the survival. Therefore, NICE guidelines have said discuss the option of docetaxel chemotherapy and explain the harms and benefits and make a shared decision, while EAU guidelines have not mentioned its use. They do not recommend in the localized or locally advanced setting. So coming on to the metastatic castrate-resistant prostate cancer. So once you start ADT for metastatic patients, they eventually become resistant to that, which is what we call castrate-resistant. So for these patients, the EAU guidelines recommend that we should first use docetaxel chemotherapy, 75 milligram per meter square. And if the patient fails on docetaxel chemotherapy, then you can use further life-prolonging treatments like abiraterone, cabazitaxel, enzalutamide, etc. So which means, as you can see, even if you used a chemotherapy first line, a second-line chemotherapy is allowed in the form of cabazitaxel, but they don't recommend sequencing of androgen receptor targeting agents, which means if you've used enzalutamide, guidelines don't recommend subsequent abiraterone and vice versa. And coming on to the non-metastatic setting, because this is in fact a new terminology for urologists. So this is where the patient was started on hormone therapy, the patient has become resistant, but there's no metastatic deposit seen. So in this setting, recently 3 trials have shown benefit. These trials have shown benefit of apalutamide, darolutamide, and enzalutamide. These are the newer hormonal therapies. All these are anti-androgens, and they have been shown to be beneficial to improve survival for these patients, and EAU has recommended all these 3. NICE at the moment has only recommended darolutamide. It has not yet considered other 2. As regards the staging of the non-metastatic castrate-resistant prostate cancer is concerned, the guidelines recommend use of bone scan and a CT scan because all the recent trials and the evidence is based on these 2. The guidelines do not recommend the use of PSMA PET CT, but I know of certain MDTs who have started using that in their MDTs. So therefore, this was a whistle-stop tour of the prostate cancer guidelines, and I'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Madan. That's a very useful and a very nice thing to discuss in the first instance, so that this forms kind of a baseline or a strong foundation for the rest of the talk. We have plenty of questions. You may have seen in the chat box, we got questions even from our co-speakers, but we will keep the questions for the MTT session so that we have enough time to discuss them in detail.